Welcome to Core Concept HQ, where big ideas are simplified. Today we're breaking down the book, Deep Work.
By Cal Newport. And I have to say, this book feels less and less like a productivity guide and more like a survival manual for the modern world.
It really does. I think almost everyone listening has had that specific feeling. You know the one?
Mm-hmm.
You sit down, it's 9 a.m., you've got your coffee, you're ready to tackle that big, important project. You open your laptop and
And then you blink.
you blink, and suddenly it's 11:30 a.m., and you have this horrible sinking feeling in your stomach because you realize you've done absolutely nothing.
Or you've done a million tiny things. You've answered a few Slack messages.
Right? Checked the news, got angry about something for 10 minutes, refreshed your email 30 times just in case.
And you've just been vibrating with a low-level anxiety, but the actual important work, it's still sitting there untouched.
Exactly. And the question you always ask is, what is wrong with me? Am I just lazy? Do I have no willpower?
And Newport's big answer, which is kind of a relief, is that it's probably not just a personal failure.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's structural. He says we're living in an age of distraction. Our entire work culture, our technology, it's all been accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, designed to shatter our focus.
So we're basically swimming against the current.
A very, very strong current. He has this phrase for what most of us have become in the office. He calls us human network routers.
Oof, that stings.
It does, because it's so accurate. Think about it. A router doesn't create anything new. It just takes a packet of information from here and sends it over there.
And if your whole day is just forwarding emails, replying to messages, and sitting in meetings, you're just a router.
You're just routing information. You're not thinking deeply. You're not creating. And that's the core problem he's trying to solve. The mission of this book is to help you stop being a router and start being a creator again.
Okay, so to get into that, we have to start with his foundational idea, which is this really sharp dividing line he draws.
Right. For him, there are only two types of work. There's no middle ground.
You've got shallow work.
And you've got deep work.
Let's break down the villain first. What exactly is shallow work?
He defines it as non-cognitively demanding logistical style tasks. And here's the kicker. They're often performed while you're distracted.
Non-cognitively demanding. So stuff you can do on autopilot.
Exactly. Answering emails that don't require much thought. Scheduling meetings. Responding to a Slack message with a thumbs up emoji. Tweaking the font size on a PowerPoint slide for 20 minutes.
We've all been there. But here's the dangerous part, right? That stuff feels productive.
That is the trap. It absolutely mimics the feeling of productivity. Your day is filled, you're busy, you're clicking, you're typing. You go home at the end of the day feeling exhausted.
So you think, wow, I had a really busy, productive day.
But Newport's question is, did you create any new value? And the answer for shallow work is almost always no. It's work that's easy to replicate.
Meaning someone else could do it?
Or a simple piece of software could do it. If your job is just routing information, you're in a very vulnerable position economically.
That's a bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the shallow end of the pool. Let's talk about the deep end. What is deep work?
Deep work is the complete opposite. It's any professional activity that you perform in a state of distraction-free concentration.
Distraction-free.
Yeah.
So no phone, no email pop-ups.
None of it. Total isolation. And the second part of the definition is that it pushes your cognitive capabilities to their limit.
So it has to be hard. It's not just focusing on something easy.
No, it should feel like a mental workout. It should be a strain. This is the state where you learn difficult things, and it's where you produce work of the highest quality and value. It's hard to do, and because of that, it's hard to replicate.
I heard a great analogy for this. Shallow work is like treading water.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
You're splashing around, you're using a ton of energy just to stay afloat, and from the side of the pool, it looks like you're doing a lot, but you're not actually going anywhere.
You're staying in one spot, whereas deep work is like swimming laps.
Exactly. It's focused, rhythmic, and every single stroke is actually moving you forward. You're covering distance.
And most modern offices are essentially designed to be wave pools, just forcing everyone to tread water constantly.
So to really understand what this looks like in the extreme, he tells the story of the psychiatrist Carl Jung.
Right. This is his archetype for deep work. Back in the 1920s, Jung was trying to do something monumental. He was breaking away from his mentor, Sigmund Freud, and trying to establish his own school of psychology.
That's a huge cognitive lift.
Massive. And he realized he couldn't do that kind of thinking in his day-to-day life in Zurich. He had patients, lectures, all the normal distractions. The noise was killing his ideas.
So he didn't just put on some headphones.
He did something a little more dramatic. He went out to the woods by a lake in a place called Ballingen, and he built a tower, a literal two-story stone tower.
That's amazing, like a medieval fortress.
Pretty much. He called it the tower, and it was a fortress for his mind. No electricity, no running water. He would lock himself inside for hours, sometimes days, and just think and write.
Total chosen isolation.
That's the key. He understood that to produce the work he was capable of, he had to be ruthless about protecting his concentration. The books he wrote in that tower are the ones that changed psychology forever.
Now, obviously, most of us can't just go build a stone tower in the woods.
Right, and that's not the point. The point is the mindset. We have to find a way to build our own mental towers within our chaotic lives, because if we don't, we're losing the ability to think deeply at all.
Which brings us to the big "so what" question. Okay, Jung was a genius, but why should a project manager or a software developer care so much about this?
This is where Newport gets really practical. He basically says the economy is changing so fast that the skills that used to be valuable are becoming obsolete. To be a winner in this new economy, you need two core abilities, two superpowers.
Superpower number one.
The ability to master hard things quickly.
Constant learning.
Constant, difficult learning. The software you use today will be different in 3 years. The marketing channels that work now won't work then. If you can't sit down and focus intensely enough to learn a complex new skill, you're going to get left behind.
And he has a neurological explanation for this, right? The whole myelin thing?
Yes. Basically, when you focus on a specific skill without distraction, your brain wraps the relevant neurons in a fatty tissue called myelin.
Like insulation on a wire.
Exactly like that. And the more myelin, the faster and more cleanly the signal travels. It's how you get good at things. But if you're constantly checking your phone or email while trying to learn, you're interrupting that process. You're firing too many circuits at once, and the myelin never gets a chance to build up properly.
So distraction literally makes you worse at learning.
It physically prevents your brain from getting faster and smarter at the task.
That is terrifying. Okay, so that's superpower one, learn hard things. What's number two?
The ability to produce at an elite level.
Yeah.
And that means in terms of both quality and speed.
So it's not enough to just be good anymore.
In a global, connected economy, no. You have to be able to produce work that is so good it can't be ignored. And you can't create a brilliant legal argument or an elegant piece of code or a breakthrough marketing strategy in 20-minute chunks between meetings. It requires sustained, deep thought.
I think the Jason Ben story really brings this home for, a normal person.
It really does. Jason Ben is the perfect example. He was a financial consultant making about 40 grand a year.
Okay.
And his job was basically taking data from one spreadsheet and putting it into another. He was a human network router.
And he saw the writing on the wall.
He did. He realized a simple computer script could do his entire job, and he was terrified. So he decided he needed to learn a hard skill, coding.
A classic pivot. But he had a problem.
A huge problem. He was, in his own words, an internet addict. His attention span was completely shot. He'd try to read a computer science textbook and his brain would just reject it. He couldn't focus for more than 5 minutes.
So before he could even learn the new skill, he had to fix the underlying machine. He had to fix his brain.
Precisely. So he did something radical. He locked himself in a room for weeks with no computer, no phone, just the textbooks.
That must have been actual torture for him.
He said it was excruciating at first. His mind was just screaming for a distraction. But he forced himself to sit with the boredom, with the difficulty. He basically put his brain through attention rehab.
And it worked.
It worked. He went to one of those intense coding boot camps. And while other students were burning out, Jason thrived because he had already trained the most important muscle, his ability to concentrate. He could focus for hours when others couldn't.
And the result?
He graduated at the top of his class and got a developer job making over $100,000 a year. He more than doubled his salary because he cultivated the meta skill of deep work. That's the key. The deep work ability is what allowed him to learn the coding skill that made him valuable.
Okay, the case is made. This is essential.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do it? Because my first instinct is always, okay, I'll just try harder. I'll just use my willpower.
And that is the first mistake everyone makes. Newport is very clear on this. Relying on willpower is a losing strategy.
Why? It seems like it should work.
Because willpower isn't a personality trait. It's a finite resource. Psychologists call it ego depletion. Think of it like a gas tank. Every time you have to resist a temptation, you use a little bit of gas.
So resisting the urge to check my phone is Burning fuel.
A lot of fuel. They did a study where they tracked people's desires all day. And the single hardest desire for people to resist, harder than junk food, harder than taking a nap, was the desire to check email or social media.
Because it's always there. The temptation is constant.
It's constant. So if you sit in an open plan office with your phone on your desk and just try to white knuckle your way through focusing, your willpower tank will be empty by noon. And that's when the afternoon doom scrolling begins, because you literally have no energy left to resist.
So if willpower doesn't work, what does?
Rituals. You need to build systems and habits so that the decision to do deep work becomes automatic. You don't want to waste your precious willpower on deciding to focus. You want to save it for the focus itself.
Don't wait for the mood to strike. Schedule it.
Exactly. And he outlines 4 different philosophies for how to schedule it. The first one is the most extreme. He calls it the monastic approach.
Like a monk in a monastery.
Yep. This is where you basically eliminate or radically reduce all the shallow obligations. The sci-fi author Neil Stephenson is a famous example. He literally doesn't have a public email address. He is unreachable so he can write.
That sounds incredible, but that would get 99% of people fired.
Immediately. So for most of us, monastic is out. The next one is the bimodal approach.
Bimodal, like 2 modes.
Right. This is what Carl Jung did. You divide your time. You have long, clearly defined stretches for deep work, and then the rest of the time you're open to the shallow stuff.
So like a professor who takes the entire summer off to write a book and then teaches the rest of the year.
Or maybe you take every Friday to work from home with no meetings allowed. The deep stretches have to be significant, at least a full day, to really work.
Still seems tough for someone in a standard corporate job.
It can be, which is why the third approach is probably the best for most people. It's the rhythmic approach.
This is the chain method, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld's Don't Break the Chain. The idea is to make deep work a simple, regular habit. Same time, every day.
Like from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. every single morning, my door is closed and my chat status is off.
Exactly. It removes the decision. You don't wake up and ask, do I feel like doing deep work today? You just do it, because that's what you do at 9 a.m. It becomes automatic.
Well, that seems the most achievable.
It is. The last one he mentions is the journalistic approach, but he warns this is for experts only.
Why is that?
This is the ability to switch into deep work mode on a dime whenever you get a spare 20 or 30 minutes. A meeting gets canceled, boom, you're deep.
That sounds amazing, but also incredibly difficult.
It is. Most people would spend that 20 minutes just trying to remember what they were working on. You have to be highly trained to make that switch effectively.
Okay, within those rituals, there's this one other idea I just love, the grand gesture.
Ah, yes. This is about using psychology to trick your brain into taking deep work seriously.
And the J.K. Rowling story is the classic example.
It's the perfect example. So she's trying to finish the very last Harry Potter book. The pressure is insane, and she can't focus at home. The dogs are barking, the kids are around, just normal life distractions.
He's completely blocked.
Right. So she makes a grand gesture. She checks into a suite at the Balmoral, which is the super fancy 5-star hotel in Edinburgh.
That's not a cheap decision.
Not at all. We're talking hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars a day. And the investment is the point. When you spend that much money or go to that much trouble, it sends a powerful signal to your brain.
The signal is, this is serious. We are here to work. We are not here to check Twitter.
Precisely. It raises the stakes so high that procrastination feels too costly. You force yourself to focus because of the investment you made.
So even if I can't afford the Balmoral, maybe I book a co-working space for a day or drive to a library in another town, something to break the routine and signal importance.
Exactly. The novelty and the investment jolt you into a different mode of thinking.
Okay, so we've got our rituals, but there's a deeper problem. Even if I'm in my quiet room, my brain is still twitchy. You know, I'm waiting in line at the coffee shop, and I have this irresistible urge to pull up my phone.
And that twitchiness is the enemy of deep work. Newport argues that we have systematically trained our brains to be terrified of boredom.
How so?
Think about it. Any moment of potential boredom, waiting for an elevator, standing in line, a red light, what do?
We reach for the phone. Instant stimulation.
Instant stimulation. And when you do that consistently, you teach your brain that boredom is a problem to be solved immediately. The result is that you lose the mental endurance to tolerate being bored.
And why is that a problem for work?
Because deep work is often boring. Or at least it has long periods of boredom. When you're wrestling with a hard problem, there are moments you're stuck. If your brain's only response to being stuck is Quick, find a distraction.
Mm.
You'll never push through to the breakthrough.
So my 5 minutes of scrolling Instagram in line is actually damaging my ability to do my job well.
It is. You're weakening the attention muscle.
Right.
So his solution is radical. The common advice is to take breaks from distraction.
Yeah, digital detox weekend or something.
Hey, he flips it. He says you should take scheduled breaks from focus. Your default state should be offline and focused. Distraction should be the scheduled event.
So you're saying I should literally schedule check social media on my calendar?
Yes. You decide, I will check the internet at noon and at 5 p.m. The rest of the time, it's off limits. And the hard part is sticking to that even when you're bored.
So if I'm waiting for a meeting to start, I should just sit there.
Just sit there. Stare at the wall. Be bored. It will feel like torture at first. That's withdrawal. But every time you resist the urge, you're strengthening that muscle.
Yeah.
You're retraining your brain to be comfortable with quiet.
He also has this exercise, productive meditation, which sounds like a way to use that downtime better.
Yes, this is a great way to practice. You take a period where you're physically occupied but mentally free, like walking, jogging, or even showering.
Times when you'd normally listen to music or a podcast.
Right. Instead, you pick one single, well-defined professional problem. How should I structure the opening of this report, for example?
And you just try to think about only that one thing.
You try, and your mind will immediately wander. You'll think about your grocery list or a conversation you had yesterday. The exercise is just to notice you've wandered and gently bring your focus back to the problem.
Over and over and over again.
It's like doing a bicep curl for your attention. It's incredibly difficult, but it trains your ability to hold a single thought in your head for a sustained period.
Okay, we can't avoid it any longer. Let's talk about the big one. Social media. Does doing deep work mean I have to delete my Instagram account forever?
His answer is maybe, but not necessarily. He's not a Luddite. He's a computer scientist. His issue isn't with the tools themselves, it's with how we choose to use them.
He says we use the any benefit mindset.
Exactly, which
Yeah.
is if you can find any plausible benefit for using a tool, you feel justified in using it.
Well, I use Facebook because it helps me keep up with my family's birthdays.
Or I'm on Twitter because I sometimes discover interesting articles, and those are real benefits. But he argues that's a very low bar. We never stop to consider the enormous cost of that tool, the cost to our attention, our time, our mental peace.
So what's the alternative?
He calls it the Craftsman Approach. A master woodworker doesn't adopt a new tool unless it provides a substantial positive impact on their core craft, and its benefits clearly outweigh its negatives.
So I have to ask myself, does scrolling TikTok significantly and positively impact my ability to write legal briefs?
And the answer is probably no. So he proposes a little experiment to test this. A 30-day social media packing party.
How does that work?
For 30 days, you quit any social media tool that isn't absolutely essential for your professional or personal life. Delete the apps from your phone.
Okay.
And here's the crucial part. Don't tell anyone. Don't post a big "I'm taking a break" announcement. Just disappear.
Ghost the internet.
Just ghost it. Then, after the 30 days are up, you ask yourself two questions. One, would the last 30 days have been notably better if I'd been able to use this service?
And often the answer is no, you actually feel better.
Right. And question two, the ego killer, did anyone care that I wasn't there?
Ouch.
And almost always the answer is no. The internet didn't miss you. And once you realize that, the fear of missing out just evaporates. It breaks the spell, and you can make a much more rational decision about whether you actually need that tool in your life.
Okay, so let's get into the final part of this. Draining the shallows, we've retrained our brain, we've dealt with our tools. How do we structure the actual workday to make space for deep work?
His first suggestion here is pretty controversial. He says you should schedule every single minute of your day.
Every minute. That sounds incredibly rigid and stressful. What about spontaneity?
And that's the gut reaction, but he argues the opposite. He says that if you don't give your time a job, the shallow stuff will rush in to fill the vacuum. An unscheduled hour becomes an hour of checking email and wandering around.
So you literally block it out on a notebook. 9.00, 9.30, email. 9.3, 11.3, deep work on Project X.
Yes. And it's not about being a robot. If an emergency comes up at 10 a.m., you're not stuck. You just take a minute, cross out the rest of your day, and reschedule it. The plan isn't the master, you are. The point is to be intentional with your time, not reactive.
It's about telling your time where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Perfectly put. And that leads to another powerful idea, fixed schedule productivity.
This one sounds great in theory.
The idea is to set a hard boundary for when your workday ends. You decide, I will stop working every day at 5:30 p.m., no exceptions.
But people will say, I have too much work. I can't possibly finish by 5:30.
But that constraint is what makes it powerful. When you know you have a hard out, it forces you to be absolutely ruthless with your time during the day. You start saying no to pointless meetings. You stop wasting time on shallow tasks.
The scarcity of time creates focus.
Exactly. The constraint forces you to find the most direct path to getting the important stuff done.
Okay, last thing, and this one is huge for me. It's the shutdown ritual. How do you stop your work brain from following you home and ruining your evening?
Ah, the curse of the open loops. There's a psychological principle called the Zeigarnik effect.
Okay.
It just means that our brains are wired to obsess over incomplete tasks. If you leave the office with a bunch of unresolved things in your head, your brain will keep nagging you about them all night.
I know that feeling all too well.
The shutdown ritual is how you close those loops. At the end of your workday, you take 10 minutes. You review your inbox one last time, you look at your task list, and for every incomplete item, you make a clear plan for when you will tackle it next.
So you're assuring your brain that it's been captured. Don't worry, we have a plan for this.
You've got it. You've externalized the worry. And then, the final step, you say a consistent phrase out loud, something like, shutdown complete.
I'm going to feel so dorky saying that to my laptop.
You will at first,
LA.
but it acts as a trigger. Over time, it trains your brain that when it hears that phrase, the workday is officially over. It's permission to disconnect and recharge.
And without that recharge, you can't come back and do deep work the next day.
It's all connected. The intensity of deep work requires the completeness of the rest.
So, to wrap this all up, deep work is a superpower. In an economy that rewards depth, it's becoming rarer and therefore more valuable every day.
And it's not just about being more productive. I think the final message of the book is that a deep life is a good life. There's a profound sense of meaning and satisfaction that comes from craftsmanship and true focus that you just can't get from a life lived in the shallows.
It's about reclaiming not just your productivity, but your sense of purpose.
I think so. It's about doing work you can be proud of.
Thanks for listening. And remember, this is Core Concept HQ, where we simplify powerful ideas to help you live smarter. See you in the next summary.